Hey there. As part of our new tutorial series and our ongoing commitment to the Ventuz community, we will be answering questions asked by you to help clarify anything that may have been left out or needed further explanation from previous videos. Our last tutorial, creating a lower third in Ventuz using Photoshop layers, led to a few great questions that we will be answering for you today. Why did the property values in the timeline stop updating when I pressed the spacebar to play back my animation? This is for a very simple reason. In our latest tutorial, the monitor timeline and values toggle for the animation editor was disabled. This is the default behavior when you create a new Ventuz project, but you can turn it on very easily. Look for the icon in the upper right corner of the animation window that looks like the waveform you'd see on a heartbeat monitor. Turning this on will outline the icon in orange and enable updating the current values in the timeline when you play back your animation. The timescale units in the latest tutorial seem to be arbitrary numbers. Is there a way to change the timescale to something easier to understand? This is a great question, and the answer is yes. For simplicity's sake, we left the timeline scale in their default Ventuz units for the Photoshop lower third tutorial. You can change the timescale so the timeline is incremented in seconds, numbers of frames, or Ventuz time units. This can be done by clicking the timescale dropdown along the top of the animation editor window and selecting which time unit scale you would like to use. We noticed that you painstakingly dragged every property you wanted to animate from the layers editor down into the timeline. Is there a quicker way to add values you want to animate to the timeline? Yes, absolutely. Properties you want to animate using the animation editor can be added to the timeline more quickly by holding down the Control key and left-clicking on the property you want to animate. Why did you use the Distortion Effect Offsets to animate the separate Photoshop layer elements instead of the X and Y position in the layout properties? This is an excellent question, and one that deserves a further explanation. The reason for choosing to animate the Distortion Effect Offsets rather than the X and Y layout positions was that it didn't require us using any masking. The distortion effect lets us move around the lower third elements in a way that allowed us to hide parts that would have otherwise needed to be masked out if we were using the X and Y layout position properties. Animating this lower third is totally possible using the X and Y position properties. However, you would need to create some masking layers to constrain where the graphics can or can't be rendered. Otherwise, all of the elements would be visible at all times unless you animated them completely out of frame. This topic can start to get a little bit complicated, so we chose to leave it out of this simple tutorial with plans to cover it in a future video. Thank you for your ongoing support and engagement with the Ventuz community. Keep those questions coming in as we continue releasing more educational content throughout the year. Please consider subscribing to our channel and hitting that notification bell to find out as soon as we upload new videos. Thank you for watching, and see you next time.